Hello and welcome back to another level design video. In the last level design video, we covered the security area, which looked pretty good, albeit we didn't get too much done to it, but I slapped some lighting in and stuff and it looks pretty sweet now. Also added some wood floors, some materials and stuff like that, but nowhere near completed. But I created a video kind of going through my thought process of creating that area and kind of adding to this overall section of the art exhibit or museum, however you'd like to call it. Today, I want to make something cool. I want to work on the boss room. And the boss room is the final area of this chapter. It's the final area. You know, that's where you're going to eliminate the Italian mob boss once and for all and wrap up the entire chapter, basically completing the contract that you've been assigned. Now, of course, on stream, I created this nice little hallway, which is right after the spirally staircase area. And of course, the spirally staircase area is one combat instance. I'm also really trying to improve upon the pacing, having highs and lows throughout the game, especially in the campaign. There are areas where it's just high. It's just combat. Big mistake. I think we're kind of trying to treat it as an action movie. In action movies, if there's too much action going on, it really does tire out the player and it makes them, you know, almost desensitized to the action. So I've kind of tried to do that. Once you're finished with the main art exhibit floor, you go in this little room and there's probably going to be no enemies in here at all. In fact, the only time when you're going to start seeing enemies is probably when you pass by this door and an enemy's probably going to like jump out and be like, what the hell, what are you doing here, you know, kind of thing. And I've done the same over here. So in this room, we're going to have no enemies. And at the end of the hallway, we have an elevator. And the idea is that you are going to take this elevator and move your way on up to the boss room. Now, I've already started on the basics of the boss room, kind of going for kind of like a Coliseum, which I think is perfect because Italian, Coliseum, you know. I've taken some references of some ideas here. I'm thinking we're going to do some sort of Zen garden in the middle. That'll be pretty cool. And the overall idea to make this boss room unique, and we're most likely going to try to block out this idea throughout this video, is that the boss room is specifically suited to try to take on and kill any suits that are trying to take on the mob boss. So it's almost as if the mob boss made his own defense mechanism against suits. Now, if you don't know the story or the lore, suits are basically just contracted killers, or people that are taking on contracts to do specific things, either kill someone or capture someone, etc., right? Think of them as hitmen, basically. I think that's probably the best way of wording it. So in this area, we're basically assuming that the mob boss has already probably killed a bunch of suits before, and they just drag them and lure them into this Coliseum, basically putting them to the final test and killing them, basically. Kind of getting a little bit of a story going. So the idea is that you're going to walk in here step by step, and the every single platform or circular radius area that's a different step is going to be moving around. It's shifting. There's going to be walls that appear going up and down. So essentially walls are going to be just moving around, which kind of changes your cover. It changes whatever happens. It should be interesting. We're going to try to block that out in this video and see how that goes. All right, so here's what I got so far. I basically have 4 rings. Kind of going to be annoying to set up, but I would really like to have like panel lines and stuff like that going around, which should look pretty cool and kind of indicates where walls come up or go down and stuff like that. And it kind of gives me a bit of a rough idea in terms of how I'm going to structure these walls. Of course, all of them are going to be kind of curved, going around a circle, leading towards the center. I have no idea what I'm going to do for the boss fight just yet. On stream, I was thinking of maybe making it so the player somehow loses their primary weapon and they have to go in using only melee combat, but I'm not sure yet. Let me know what you think about that idea in the comments. My only concern about melee combat is I feel like the melee combat is just not enough yet to be sustained on its own. It's almost like eating pumpkin pie without, like, I don't know, the whipped cream or some shit. I don't know. I feel like you need the whipped cream, or else what's the point? But yeah, here's what we got so far. I'm going to name these real quick, so then I have them all named, and I'm going to export them all using Blender for Unreal Engine. Fantastic plugin. I definitely recommend it. I will link it down in the description. It gets the crimson stamp of approval. I'm going to get back to working on this thing, and we'll get it in Engine. Maybe we'll do like a quick little simple UV unwrap, and we'll start messing around with it. Should be fun. Also, I just wanted to give a big shout out to everybody that's been commenting on all the newest videos. I am reading everything. I'm telling you, I'm reading everything. I just can't really respond to everything. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you for all the support though, and commenting and liking the video and stuff like that. It really does help a lot. All right, here is what we've got so far. We have stairs that are stepping down. I do need to change the collision. I'll definitely do that later, but we have stairs that are stepping down all the way leading to the center area. We're gonna turn this bad boy into a labyrinth, and we're gonna really make it confusing-ish. Another thing we're gonna have to do is make it so the camera is always facing towards the center. I don't really like the tiles and how they are basically planar UV unwrapped. So what I might do is I might do a custom unwrap, and I kind of want them to go around the cylinder. That way they're always facing towards the center. All right, well, I've made a drastic mathematical error. These are not lining up correctly. So I might have to go in here and figure out a size that will round up properly, but it's looking pretty cool. I've already kind of laid out some of the beginning pieces. You know, how I'm picturing it is essentially these pieces are going to like move up and down at different intervals and stuff like that. And what I might do, and I thought about this, is I might make it so enemies dynamically spawn on top of these sections. And something I did in the shipyard, which is one of the other Miami series levels, is that I still have to create the blueprint for it, but the basics are there where enemies can jump down from ledges. That way there is constant action as you are leading yourself through to the center. So I might play around with, a little bit with that. It is time for, well, a new day. I've been streaming a bunch of working on the boss room, and a lot of progress has been made. As you can tell, there's some different colored blocks. Now, obviously, when we actually make the game, we're not going to color our blocks green and red and whatever have you. But essentially, these red walls, and the orange one as well, are going to basically be an opening cinematic when you walk into this room. There'll be the boss here, basically taunting you, and then these doors will close one by one, kind of forcing you in other directions. So we essentially have made a maze, and a pretty cool one at that. You have to go around the outer rim, then work your way in, and then as you work your way in, you're also going to be forced back out to then find your way back in. So it's kind of interesting. I like the fact that we have some different dynamics in here, from going in and then out and stuff. So I think that'll be pretty cool. We're also gonna have a bunch of stuff here like lasers and stuff. I think we're gonna go for a very like James Bond kind of vibe over here, but it'll feel different. There's definitely gonna be some little platforming, puzzle-ish aspects to this area, which I think should be pretty fun. It's almost as if the level itself is a boss almost. As you get to the boss. Over here, I also indicated that green blocks are gonna go up and down. So one of the ideas here is this green block is going to go up at the exact same time as these. And when these go up, they're going to be really quick. They're going to be like electric. So you die if you touch them while they're going up. So that it kind of creates little battle instances that might make it a little bit more interesting, kind of make the player not claustrophobic, but in tighter spaces. This area here, you can see that there's like a bunch of these that are going to close up. So there's a high probability that the player is going to end up basically finding themselves trapped for a short period of time as they try to get to the center. That's what we have so far in terms of progress on the boss room. All right, so here's what I've started so far for our little block hazard. I just got some basic variables started. I got a simple little construction strip right here to basically change the way this looks if we want it to start closed or if we wanted to start open. That's what I got so far. Now we need to work on the intervals and some very easy, quick timelines so that we can animate this going up and down. We need to make it so when it goes up, it will potentially kill the player. Like make a material for this that has a like electricity effect going on. I already have a material to start with for that, but I'm gonna have to probably make it better, probably on top of some sort of concrete or something of the sort, but this on its own isn't going to work, so we're going to have to figure that out. All right, well, I've begun working on the material because I need to create multiple stages for the electrical block. I need to have a first stage that basically defines that it's just kind of like warming up. So here you can tell it's just tiny little sparks just getting started, and then when it gets really bad or when it's actually deadly, we'll probably use something a little like this, or maybe something stronger. We'll see. But that's the material setup. I reused some materials that I had before that has like a flip book. Now, this is technically for an arc, like sparks from like electricity or something like that, but I do not have the artistic expertise to make my own flip book, so I'll probably fix that at a future date. For now, this is what we're using. So I went in and added some texture variation, and I found out that I can specify the time by flooring it. That way it kind of gives off more of a electricity vibe. So if I multiply this to 1, you can see that instead of it moving gradually as it was before on the panner, it's instead moving in increments. So in doing this, we can do a lot of really cool stuff, make it seem more like actual electricity, right? Because electricity moves very frantically and whatnot. I don't know. It just looks better, I guess. So from now, we need to create the starting and ending custom events. I've kind of set up some of the beginnings of that over here. So we're going to get to that. Nothing too crazy. We're just going to do some timelines and stuff like that, and then we'll go from there. So let's get that going. All right. So I've worked a bunch on the timelines. For opening and closing the block, at the beginning of the game, we'll basically do a start delay. This allows us to kind of shift the timings when things open or close or whatnot. So if you want some variation, we can definitely do that. We have an open duration, close duration, but I have two timelines here, one that rises the block and one that lowers it. When the block is finished rising, it's going to essentially stop emitting electricity. So you can technically touch it once it has risen fully. I might change some of the timings here because the electricity part goes away within like, I think like 2 seconds or so. So there's not much chance for the player to get hit by it. But, you know, I think through playtesting, we can kind of mess around with that. This thing should work. I specified that it should stay open for 5 seconds and then I think closed for 8. And there's a delay of 5 seconds. So you can see it starts with small sparks, then it gets big, it ends, and then it should go back down instantaneously, I suppose. So a little bit of work I still need to do there. I figured it out. Small little oversight on my part. I put the wrong boolean somewhere, but I got it working. Look. Now it's slowly lowering back into the slot, and then for I think 8 seconds or 5 seconds, I forget which one it is, it will not go up. So that is pretty cool. Should be an interesting added, I guess, environmental hazard that this big, I want to say obstacle course or like death trap has. And you can see there's going to be a lot of different varieties. There's going to be blocks, there's going to be larger blocks, and then walls. Of course, we're also going to add in lasers. So we're going to have lasers. Very James Bond kind of vibe that I think should be really fun. And you could even potentially slice enemies in the lasers, right? By maybe kicking them into it or grappling them and throwing in. And yes, I am going to try to make it so it slices enemies in half. I will try to do that, trust me. All right, I've made progress on replacing some of these meshes. I couldn't change the frame mesh just yet, at least for these wall pieces. So I've replaced them with glass bottles well, just for now. Here's what it looks like. I set a delay for each one, and each one kind of increments a little higher up than the other. So they'll do this cool effect of opening one by one, which should look pretty cool and kind of introduces the level a little bit. Of course, we're gonna have to do a lot of edits to the UVs and stuff, but for now, that looks pretty good. Now it's just, we're gonna have to replace all these little green blocks and stuff. I think we're gonna do the lasers and stuff at a later date. Yeah, if anything, maybe I could make a separate video on that if you guys want that. Working on basically like the new environment hazards that we're gonna scatter in here. And I don't know if we'll scatter the lasers in other places, but we could if we ever feel like wanting to do that. I'm gonna scatter these around here. I'll show that off real quick, and then we'll kind of go from there. And that's basically the progress on the boss room. So let's get this going and then wrap up the video. All right. Well, I've placed blocks everywhere. Well, I'm missing this one, but I'll get that one. Don't worry about it. I've gotten most of the blocks. Now, one thing I am worried about is this might have some small repercussions in terms of performance. So we may have to make it so some of these don't play any timelines and instead just go open or closed instantly if they're not in view. That way we still keep track of their specific transform, but we're not playing any of the timelines because timelines can be pretty expensive. So if we can, it'd be nice to not have things tick when we don't need it. We should be able to see all of these going up and down, going up and down. See, there's the 5-second timer for that one. We have that block. Just looking at it is pretty fun. I don't think the wall ones are moving. I might have to change some of their parameters, but yeah, let me do that real quick. All right, I think I fixed everything. Let's see what kind of chaos ensues now that we fixed everything. Ooh, dude, this area is gonna be pretty cool because it's almost as if like it's giving you a bit of cover, but it's also locking you in. This is the laser spot where there's gonna be three lasers basically going back and forth permanently, and you have to time yourself to get past the block. I think I'm gonna change the duration of that staying up, and then we also have a door here to kind of block you in. I might have to change some of the timings there as well. Be interesting to play with some enemies that could be on the top here and throwing grenades at you down below. That could be pretty cool. This area in the middle, I made them so they all open at different intervals. So 0.5 gap or intervals. I don't know what the term would be for that. So they all kind of open and close at generally the same time. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the of that one specific area in Star Wars where the laser doors are going like one after the other. So that's pretty cool. This will obviously look a lot better when the texture is stretching and stuff like that. Like these are going to need unique static meshes for each one. Not each one, but each like size. But this is looking really cool. Once we add some like red lasers in and stuff, we're going to have a bunch of different colors. And of course the garden, there's going to be a different like garden thing around here. We're going to put some ivy on some of these rocks and stuff. Really give this area a very unique look, almost like a concrete playground, or as I said earlier, a kill box, which I think is a great little terminology for this area. Other than that, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the boss room and the approach that we're taking for the boss room down below in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. This is kind of me trying to put some more unique things out into the game, albeit not as like realistic, but it's still like something that could be doable in like a contemporary assassin centric world, right? Lasers, stuff like that. It's definitely possible. So we're going to try to stay in the realm of possible or somewhat realistic. I don't want to go super crazy with it, but I am also trying to kind of broaden the game a little bit in terms of its universe and stuff. That way we have a little bit more creative freedom. But yeah, this is the beginning. And hopefully, when you get the game and the Miami series comes out, you'll be able to have fun and play this whole level, which has been an absolute blast to work on, to be honest. All of the destruction stuff and whatnot has been great. So definitely check out the destruction videos. There's a few on the channel. But other than that, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe again, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.